From the stars to our soul, it's worth more than all the gold. Native strength, native strength. It's time for another Native Strength short. Sometimes we think the past gave us a really raw deal. Something might have happened that was extremely disappointing, to say the least. Perhaps we had a job interview that we really had our heart set on, and we thought we did a damn good job. But somebody must have done better because they went with someone else, and our heart was broken. But when we look back and we look at it from a different perspective, we might find that the person that actually got the job ended up with a can of worms. This was an accident waiting to happen. If we had gotten the job we wanted, it probably wouldn't have turned out to be as great as we thought in the first place. So sometimes when life doesn't work out the way we wanted to and we're disappointed with the outcome, we might have been looking at it from the wrong way, with the wrong perspective. We might have lucked out, really. Now, when we look back and we know that something bad happened and we were deprived of a great opportunity in life or something, we can oftentimes say, my life would have been so much better if only. But the facts of the matter may be that that wonderful opportunity that we didn't get might come with a lot of baggage. So I want to share this little Native Strength short with you about how bad things in the past can contribute to bad habits, and how if we look back at these bad things that happened to us that cause this bad habit, we might find that if we just change our perspective, the need to dull our pain with this bad habit will be gone.
If we revisit certain things, we may decide that there's a healthier, more productive way to look at it. Now that we're older and have learned more, we might find our original understanding of why things happened the way they did was very limited and inaccurate. Maybe something bad happened to us, and we decided that the world is a dangerous place full of bad people. When we reevaluate the situation now, we could find that we were surrounded with bad people at the time. It's probably not our fault that we were in a bad environment, particularly if we were children. But knowing that our experience doesn't represent the entire world can make a big difference, particularly as adults when we're free to change things. These are things we may not have thought about in years. Once most people have decided on something, it's usually settled, and they don't revisit it to adjust their thinking. But if you've got a habit to break, or you've found life isn't working the way you want it to right now, this may be exactly what you need to do.
This reevaluation can be essential to changing patterns that are rooted in the past. And let's face it, they almost all are. Our thought processes led us to these patterns of behavior. If we continue to have the same belief systems and philosophies, odds are we'll fall back into these same familiar patterns.
The key is in finding new ways of looking at things. When we do this, we find new ways of coping. Let's start by looking at where we are now, in the present. Our emotions have caused us to do something to make us feel better. That would be our bad habit. Of course, it really isn't working the way we had hoped. But since this is based on our emotions, let's start there. We see that emotions are in the South. How do we change something that isn't working? How do we find happiness? We spin the wheel. What's in the opposite direction? The North. This stands for wisdom and intent. So we use our mind to find better choices. This means we're going to have to take some time to do some thinking. Find a comfortable place to sit. Eliminate all distractions and give yourself permission to take as much time as you need. When we decide to indulge in our bad habit, it's usually due to one of a few things. We may be rewarding ourselves. Perhaps we've been working hard and it's time for a break, so we decide to have a cigarette, let's say. Or maybe someone said something to us that hurt our self-esteem. To make ourselves feel better, we may decide to go on a shopping spree or have a big piece of cake. Or perhaps we just got a promotion with a nice raise, and we've decided Lady Luck is on our side. So we go to the casino for the weekend. The first step is to recognize what things lead us to indulge. We'll have to do some soul searching to remember our triggers. It's probably going to be more than one thing. The next step is to plan for better choices. If you wait until a situation arises, you'll resort back to default behavior. So now is when we use our mind, the power of the North, to come up with different options. What would be some things we could do to give ourselves a treat, a reward, or an escape that wouldn't be quite so harmful?
Now, I'd like to make a point here. If you've ever been to an AA meeting, you might have noticed that there's a large number of people that seem to be addicted to coffee and cigarettes. It could be said that they've traded one bad habit for another. But you have to agree that coffee and cigarettes aren't as harmful as alcoholism.
On the medicine wheel, we have gone from the South to the North. Many people think bad habits are overcome by having a strong will. You may remember that the West stands for the physical body and introspection. This would be the place of willpower. Now, obviously, it does take some willpower to break a bad habit. But to take a problem that started with our emotions and try to solve it solely by veering off course to the West often ends in disaster, whether we're dealing with our own undesirable behavior or another's.
It's often been said that if we don't learn the lesson from a bad experience, life will tend to give us another opportunity to learn it. So when we're trying to dull this pain from the past, we're not really addressing the lesson and learning the lesson. It takes a very brave person to look at the past when it's very painful and learn the lesson. In Native tradition, and this seems to be the truth, I've really not seen it any other way, there's more than just one lesson. It's not just about you were in a bad place at a bad time. There are ways to stay out of those situations. It's about something much deeper, and there's more to it than that. And it's about what you can do to protect yourself in the future if you find yourself in a bad situation, and ways to get out of it, and ways to not be there, and ways to premonition this is going to happen and make sure that you're not getting close to that bad situation. There's a lot to any experience that we've ever had in life. And as children, oftentimes we didn't have the ability to change our circumstances, but of course now we do. And if we look back and we get those lessons, then we can have more control over our life in the future. Thank you for watching.
From the stars to our soul, it's worth more than all the gold.